Garri Kasparow, welcome in Poland.
Thank you.
I understand you're here for a big chess event, but now you're more politician than chess player, are you?
No, I stopped playing professional chess 17 years ago, but I never stopped promoting the game of chess. And here, as you pointed out correctly, I will be doing promotion for Grand Chess Tour. As a member of the board of this organization, we're very happy that now we moved to Polish capital. So I believe now Warsaw could become a really big chess center. Now, watching the rise of Polish chess and hopes that Polish chess fans are having for young Krzysztof Duda. So, yeah, again, happy to be in Warsaw. But as you also correctly stated, these days, I spend much less time talking about chess than about what you call politics. Actually, it's more likely geopolitics and the values. And the fact is that for so many years, free world preferred to ignore an obvious threat coming from Vladimir Putin.
Yes,
they were criminal regime.
No, they were involved in politics instead of geopolitics.
Yeah, they looked at the benefits of trading with Putin, and they were under the spell of the false narrative that's more trade, improving relations will eventually help to liberalize Putin's regime. As a result, again, nothing new. You could read it in history books. It was the opposite. Putin believed that he could do whatever, and it was not two-way street, but actually it was one-way street because Putin succeeded in exporting Russian corruption on top of Russian oil and gas.
Yes, and he was. So what was he importing in exchange for exporting corruption?
Russia imported absolutely everything because now you could see that 2-3 months of sanctions basically put Russian economy on hold. Unlike Soviet Union, Russia cannot be self-sustainable, and that's the result of this 20 plus years of this exchange. Putin accumulated a great deal of money, but the money was not spent to modernize Russia. It was, as late Senator McCain said, it's a gas station run by mafia masquerading as a state. So. Of course, a lot of money was invested in weapons, and unfortunately, some of the European countries they were not principled enough and sold some components even after 2014, even after the annexation of Crimea.
2014 didn't stop the West from being complacent. But I'd like to ask you one question in connection with your recent op-ed in Wall Street Journal, which you finished with the question whether we want Ukraine to be a partner or a proxy. Ukraine, at the beginning of the war, was not even the proper proxy because the West was treating it perhaps even like a client. Now it is more like a proxy, but of course Ukrainians want to be partners. Is the West ready to be a partner of Ukraine?
Is there any choice? I think Ukrainians pay the highest price imaginable to become part of Europe and NATO. It's a question whether NATO in its current form deserves to have Ukraine, heroic nation, that I hope will break the back of not just Putin's war machine, but the hundreds of years, centuries old Russian imperial tradition. This war might have a very symbolic result, not only to restore Ukrainian territorial sovereignty, which I believe it must be a goal of the war. Ukraine must win.
Well, for the moment, it's a goal of Ukraine. Judging from the recent statements from Macron, Scholz, Draghi, they would like to spare Mr. Putin embarrassment of defeat.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Draghi, but definitely Macron, less Scholz. and many political pundits. And those, as my article you mentioned, Wall Street Journal, I call Putin's agents of influence, that now they're all concerned about Putin's well-being, about saving his face. I find it absolutely disgusting. It's a moral position because anyone who talks about part of Ukraine being, left under Russian occupation, basically, agrees that, hundreds of thousands of millions of Ukrainians will be suffering under the occupation. And we know what's happening to them. There are more than 1 million Ukrainians deported to Russia. The difference, between this war, with what's happening in Ukraine 80 years ago, that the German trains went westward and Russian trains went eastward. But it's repetition of the fascist aggression against Ukraine. This time it comes from the east. And I think the Anglo-Saxon democracies, the Americans and Brits, they are more resolute to see that the war will end with only possible result for the free world, Ukraine to win. Because it's not the game of chess. You cannot have a draw here. So either Putin wins, and any result, but his total defeat is a victory for Putin today. Or Ukraine wins, and that means that we will see the end of Putin regime. And I believe that the liberation of Sevastopol will be end of the liberation of Ukraine and the beginning of liberation of Russia from Putin's fascism.
You believe, or you think it's at all possible to regain
Why not?
Crimea? Just asking.
No, this is like, look, I'm not a military expert. I don't pretend to be knowledgeable of the military operations, but I look at the balance, and I look at the economic powers and motivations. This is all the key factors for any war to end. And Ukrainians survived the first Russian onslaught, where very few people, myself included, believed they could do that, while the free world, including the CIA and Pentagon, thought the war would be over within 3-4 days. And now they are gradually taking piece of territory. And if you look at the economic balance, even after all losses Ukrainians suffered, they keep receiving now weapons. So the hardware and ammunition, this is heavy armor, long-range artillery, they're all pouring in. And they're far more sophisticated than Russian analogs. And also, going back to one of the questions we already discussed, Russia is running low on spare parts. So it seems that the military supply to Russian army in Ukraine is now limited. So that's why I expect that very soon you'll see Russians trying to build the defense lines and hoping that their friends, Putin's friends, like Mr. Macron, will win the day. I doubt very much.
They will push for a ceasefire.
They will push for ceasefire. I think ceasefire is again
is defeat of
it's not
Ukraine.
Defeat. It's I think it's a crime against the Ukrainian nation that is fighting so hard, and they already paid enormous price. And I see any moral ground for calls for the ceasefire. It's only Ukrainians can call it. So if they decide they have to do it, and by the way, I think in the first couple of weeks, they were probably ready to make some sacrifices. But right now, when they're on the verge of the greatest victory, and I think it might happen, as soon as the end of summer, early fall, so demanding that they stop, or somehow Putin is being saved, it's either naivete or worse. We'll learned about history of the 1930s. Where the policy of appeasement led to the greatest disaster in the history of mankind. But now I think it's even worse because Chamberlain and Daladier didn't know what would come next. They were under illusions. Again, they made mistakes. But
we know.
But also they didn't make business with Hitler. This is also the difference. And now we have politicians, all of them are somehow involved in doing business with Putin's regime, and ignoring the fact that we're already paying the price. So this is this war could be avoidable. This is the war that could be avoided if the free world imposed at least some sanctions to show Putin that there was a price. Basically doing nothing even after 2014. Though, again, Putin's crimes go much deeper in history, Republic of Georgia and other things that he did while being in office for more than 20 years. But even after Crimea, nobody wanted to demonstrate to Putin that there would be price for his aggression. And since 2014, Putin learned that whatever he did, look, even Aleppo in Syria, so that's why his calculation was based on his expectations, very low expectations of the response of the free world. What he underestimated, like every dictator before him, is the will of free people.
Yes. Before we finish, I'm interested in your opinion in the following. We both agree that when the war is finished, it's also the end of Putin. But what happens to Russia after Putin?
Look, I don't have a crystal ball to tell you. Yeah, but
But you can plan a few moves forward as a chess master.
I can try to have a few scenarios. Just to summarize them, I can say Russia will have a chance. Let me emphasize, a chance to return to the family of civilized nations. The only chance for Russia is to eradicate the imperial virus. Russia has to become a normal national state. When I say national, it's just like a melting pot, different nationalities, but no longer imperial aspirations. So we basically have to start from scratch. That means to walk away from all territories that are being, just taken from other countries. Obviously, Crimea and whole Ukraine, Republic of Georgia, Moldova, Transnistria. I think it will be a renegotiation with many Russian regions. If some of them would like to go, like Chechnya or Dagestan or Tatarstan, so be it. It's about not even changing the country. It's not about just replacing Putin and his regime. It's about changing the metrics. Is it doable? I don't know. I'm more than happy to be part of the process, but there's no guarantee. But what I can tell you that if it doesn't happen, then Russia's future is very bleak, and it's the country will collapse. So, which by the way might have a negative effect, because I think that's the greatest battle of the 21st century is another battle between freedom and tyranny, and the biggest opponent for us, for the free world, is China. And of course, having Russia is whatever is left of new Russia, still probably the biggest country in the world with natural resources on the side of the free world, might be a decisive change of the balance in our favor.
But you would agree that democratic Russia means smaller Russia?
Not much smaller, but yeah, absolutely. For me, this is the territory is important, but it's not it's like a sacred cow.
But they are crazy about their territory.
Yeah, but that's why they will have to go. I mean, they come from the 19th century or even from early days. It's not surprising that Putin's favorite characters in history is Ivan the Terrible and Joseph Stalin, those who were above the law. And Putin still thinks in these categories. That's already outdated. People often ask me why he attacked Ukraine. I said because Ukraine was on his way just to realize his geopolitical ambitions. You can say that for Putin, Ukraine was the same as Poland was for Stalin. So this is just something that has to be just erased from the map. And it's not that I'm reading his mind, or I'm just trying to fantasize. I just heard what he has been saying. He has been repeatedly said that. And also Russian propaganda for 8 years since Crimea had been poisoning the minds of Russian people, telling that Ukraine was not a real state, that didn't deserve its place on the map.
Yes, they are us. They are our brothers.
Exactly. No. They talked about some parts of Ukraine go to Poland, some to Hungary, but basically Ukraine is not a state. So and for me it was always when Putin attacks Ukraine, not if he decides to attack.
What about the threat of him using nuclear weapons?
I think unlikely, highly unlikely.
Why?
Look, using nukes, requires more than just a crazy dying dictator, because that's one of the rationales, saying, there are rumors Putin has a cancer. Probably, I don't know. I'm not making comments on rumors.
Who cares?
He's crazy. But even if we make this assumption, he's crazy, he's dying, so still he needs others to actually to comply, because it's not one person pushing the button. It's a chain of command.
Yes, but there are quite a few people who are saying it will have to be necessary. His propagandists, Patrushev.
No. The propagandists, look, at the end of the day, it goes to generals. Are they willing to die? I don't think so. I don't think Putin army has kamikazes. Yeah, they might be willing to go as far as committing war crimes, but dying for their rights to commit war crimes, I'm not sure they'll be willing. And also, I think it's the all the threats. They were part of the Putin's blackmail. He used to frighten the free world by using these threats. Oh, I will do this. I will. And all of a sudden now he saw that it doesn't work. There's no guarantee that he will use tactical nuclear weapons and there will be no response. Let's say, okay, the command comes from the bunker and is being authorized by his Minister of Defense. Again, it's all if. So it's being received on the Russian warship or military base that's missiles with nuclear warhead. And then it still needs the final approval of the commander, an admiral or a general.
So it is not like in the US when one button from the president is enough.
I don't think it's one button. We even so moving. No. There's always justification. By the way, we'll still talk about not strategic. But it's about tactical. And even yes, there are. I think there were few even books and movies, where someone has to actually verify it, and also understand the difference between the U.S. president, yes, being elected, and Russian dictator. Again, to go back to the situation, there's a decision being made on this warship. Now, if this admiral, whatever his name is, thinks that he can push the button, destroy, part of Ukrainian, it's part of Ukraine, so Kiev or whatever, and risking international crime court in Hague in 5 years, he can do it. And I don't think that's a big deal. If he believes that's a 50-50 chance that in 5 minutes NATO missile will hit this ship, he will never do that. And I think now they understand that it's the chance that the British or American missile will hit this ship, it's at least 50-50. So that's why I think this is like a poker, it's an element of gamble. I cannot, tell you absolutely not. But the way I read the body language, this analyze the data that is available, also the whole, this trend, because listening even this brainwashing news from Russian TV, you understand that there's the tone has changed. It's not the same bravado. So also you look at the Russian internet, they recognize things just went in the wrong direction.
Okay, can we finish with Slava Ukraini?
Героям слава.
Thank you very much.